Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation, and our Paws On Manga segment.
And today we're covering the spin-off series for Seraph at the End. Is Gurren Ichonose Catastrophe at 16.
And it's one of the best spin-offs we've ever read. It's 4 volumes, written by Takeya Kagami, the original writer for Seraph at the End.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fantastic to learn that he wrote both this and the original manga at the same time.
Yes.
And in this, we learn more about Gurren Ichonose.
Yes.
How he obtained his abilities, his background, his upbringing, how he ends up in the position he's in.
Right.
And you get to find out the true relationship between he and his sword.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil in case you haven't read it. And it's worth every bit of read. But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, notifications for some future podcasts and want to pause videos.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us today, subscribing to our channels, sharing our videos, commenting everything you do. We appreciate you so much. The Seraph of the End Catastrophe at 16 is actually a prequel to the anime, and it tells you about the life and story of Gurren Ichonose, who's my favorite character from there. Shut up. And how he ended up in the situation he was in the anime. What's interesting about this quickly is that the writer of this series, Takeya Kagami, was writing not only Seraph, the anime, and Seraph of the End, Gurren Ichonose Catastrophe 16 at the same time. He was also writing the manga.
Yes.
So all three at the same time. The man's a genius.
Yes.
Now, this particular light novel series has 4 volumes, but each volume in 1 through 3 has multiple volumes. Some 2, and I think 1 3. And then in the last volume 4, at the end of the series, unfortunately, there's only 1 volume within it. So there are actually 4 volumes, but 8 segments. I guess that's what 8 books. That's how it's referred to.
Right.
So I'll read you the cover from the first one. The apocalypse is not only near, but a certainty. Set before the event and the aftermath detailed by the hit manga, this standalone prequel light novel series chronicles the inexorable approach of the reign of the vampires. Witness the trials of Gurren Ichonose, who must hide his true strength, even as he's trampled on at an academy for the insufferably privilege. Yes, that's what he used. This graphic, I keep saying graphic novel, this light novel is pretty neat in that it's very big. The first volume contains 338 pages.
Wow.
And they have a few drawings within that are really good. So you get to kind of see what the author is thinking of. And in the beginning of each book, there are actually colored pictures that he's drawn that are laminated, so it look really glossy, really nice. And the covers are really beautifully drawn as well. And the artwork was done by Yamamoto.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask you first, what did you think when you read the first volume of this series?
It was pretty interesting how they set it up, and it's probably weird seeing everything normal when you got adjusted to the post-apocalyptic world they had in the regular one, and they still hadn't made it clear if the whole world was suffering from this or was it just Japan, because they kept saying apocalypse, but you never heard anything about other countries. So they kind of make it seem like it's just Japan that's falling under here, and they just kind of came from other parts of the globe.
Right.
And you see how it slowly builds up, and there's little synchronicities that happen in there that lead to the events, and they start getting bigger and having a snowball effect the further you get through the books.
What I do like in the first volume is we get introduced to all the characters that we know and love in the anime. Maharu, Gurren, your favorite,
Dorito.
and we meet her sister, we meet Mito, and there's one more. Shinya. How could we forget Shinya? So we meet all of them and how they originally were prior to meeting Gurren and him changing their lives, because within this light novel series he does. He's like Ash from Pokemon in here.
Right.
How he makes an impression and changes everyone for the better.
Yeah.
And when you watch the anime, that doesn't come across. You don't know that. And if you've seen the anime and you see the ending, what we thought is that they didn't know his true nature, but you learn in the graphic novel, light novel, forgive me guys, in this novel series, that they were fully aware of who he was and what he'd done.
Right.
And you learn about his backstory, his history. You learn what Seraph of the End is, and it does come from the Bible, and they mention the Bible a lot in here in terms of taking that and making a story out of it, which was also brilliant. Because for most of the part, I would say 90% of the story, it sticks with the biblical story that occurs in Revelation.
Right.
And very well written. It's exciting. It's engaging. I was so grateful that I bought 3 out of 4 at the time I started this, because if I didn't have volume 2, I would have been really upset.
Right.
So volume 2, the cover reads, Gurren finds his peers treating him in an altogether different manner now that he is, at least for the time being, a follower of Kureto Hiragi, the exclusive first Shibuya high school star student and power broker. Unbowed at heart, however, the Ichonose heir directs his clan to research forbidden demonic magic in preparation for the heralded apocalypse. Tons of illustrations, 4 in color. And he didn't disappoint. Yes, there were lots of illustrations in here. I want to say that this book is even longer with 332 pages. It's actually 6 pages shorter. But it was no less engaging, no less a great read. In here, the crap hits the fan. It starts getting worse than it was in book 1 because we were being introduced to the characters, his backstory, how he was treated, how he was different from all his other friends in the beginning in terms of stature and society. And here now, he is at the school and he is downplaying his powers so they don't know how powerful he is and take action against him, or he get in trouble with the Higuragi clan.
And they have all these different clans in here, and it's almost like, I think it's for the clans came from JJK, because they have all these clans that are kind of like fighting for power, like they're still in the feudal era for a dynasty, and they're all still fighting for that in modern day. And they still have the arranged marriages and everything, and of course they have to have one where one of them is in love with somebody that isn't the one they arranged for, and you know, they play into that. And another thing is that, as you said, it starts showing how they all became friends and how they acted towards each other before then, and they kind of do this thing where it's like Damian Wayne, where it's like, we're not friends. It's like, okay. And then they keep going, and they just ignore when he says stuff to them. They're like, no, we're not friends. Go away. They don't leave. They just stay there. They act like he didn't say anything. He just looks like, why?
So in this volume, he saves their lives, and that's how they basically come together. We don't give you the details. You'll read that, and it's really interesting. I'm glad you brought that up about the arranged marriages, because Maharu was actually arranged or betrothed to Shinya. We were very surprised. But she's in love with, of course, Gurren, who isn't. Everyone in this book is in love with Gurren.
Yeah, and they did every girl pretty much. Just like, good grief.
And then as a child, we learned what the Higuragi family did to him, which was pretty bad when you read it. And they make it clear that he's not supposed to be with Maharu.
Right.
We learn more about her personality. We learn more about how they were deemed lovers on Wiki, because it was like, what do you mean? Oh, okay. So we find out in this book.
Yeah.
I want to say that there's nothing graphic in here in terms of sex. There's innuendos. There is like a leading up to you knowing what's going to happen, and then the next thing is over with, and they're continuing in conversation after it's happened, but they don't give you details. For those of you who like juicy books with graphic descriptions and things of what's going to happen, it's not in here. It's very well done though, and you get the picture. You understand how much they loved each other and so forth. But because I think he knew that there would be younger people reading this, he didn't want to do that and have the book probably get a rating where, you know, teens and so forth could not read it.
Right.
But this volume is no less interesting. It's actually more interesting than volume 1. Volume 3, you thought the crap hit the fan in volume 2. Volume 3, it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. It's unbelievably, I don't want to say violent, but it is. It's unbelievably violent in many instances. And because you're not seeing it, reading it is different. If you saw it, it probably would have some type of rating like triple R or something, because when they get the demonic powers, people get crazy. And the Hiragis are really crazy, wanting to stay in charge and maintain their power. So I'll read the cover of 3. Not only Gurren, but his closest allies among the Imperial demons have accepted forbidden power, and the merciless Hiragi clan orders them to go after its once favorite but treacherous daughter, Maharu. The vampires, however, yes, they're vampires, are ready to show that no human faction stands a chance against them. Christmas is almost here. Yeah, seriously, Christmas. An apocalyptic time of year for all good boys and girls. I love
it's
that.
It's the most apocalyptic time of the year. There'll be vamps and swords and blood and mayhem of the year.
Now, in this volume, there are not as many pictures, disappointingly. The cover is very interesting because it's actually a hint of what happens in here, and you don't realize it until after you start reading. You go, oh my gosh, that's who that is, and that's who that is. So look at the cover if you ever get a chance of 3 before you read it, and you'll be surprised at whom it's actually representing. Then this is heavily Maharu's volume. It really is. You get the full impact of what she is, what she's capable of, what she will do to get what she wants. The vampires are heavy in here as well. You think they're heavy in the anime? No, they're not heavy at all.
They kind of tone them down, I guess.
You really find out their power, what they do, how they allow humans to even stay and exist, and why. And it's like, wow, this volume here, this is great reading. I would love to see volume 3 as an anime. Even just like a short series, 12 episodes. I would love to see it, because this would become a #1 favorite because of what takes place in the book. And as you mentioned earlier, they're finally true friends.
And I had actually mentioned it while reading one of the books, is that they could turn these into movies. If they didn't do OVAs, they could do, probably if they want to do theatrical movies, they could do maybe Crunchyroll exclusive films. They could do 1 for each book, or maybe a movie for 2 books at a time, so it would be like a part 1 and a part 2. I think that could actually really work well for the people who have stuck out so long for Seraph of the End as an anime and a book series. I think that could do really well, especially seeing a prequel and then getting more traction for Gurren being younger. So
yes. And want to mention, this volume has 330 pages, so even fewer than the first 2. I want to tell you quickly that Takuya Kagami has a website. It's called Healthy Living with Takuya Kagami. I'm not kidding you. And it's www.kagamitakaya.com. He also has a Twitter. Kagami Takuya is the Twitter handle. I gotta go on there and follow him today. So right now, volume 3 was the most action-packed and violent out of all of them. It's really heavy laden with so much going on, so much story, so much interaction, and again, it's Maharu's volume for sure. Then you have volume 4, which I was so upset when I got it because it only has 176 pages.
It's a light read.
There's a wonderful afterword by Kagami telling you what he intended for this light novel series, and that he hopes he stays in our good graces with some of the things that took place within it, probably things that we didn't want to see or to happen. But number 4 is it's fantastic, even though it's short. There's a couple of pictures in the front, but there are no pictures at all where he'd been doing drawings like before, which was disappointing. I really love seeing the drawings. So this volume says that as the major clans of the Imperial Demons mount an apparent all-out revolt against the ruling Hiragi dynasty. Gurren, Shinya, and company are no longer sure they're the protagonists of the story unfolding around them. What is their true destiny, and is fulfilling it even desirable? In its concluding volume, which pulls no punches, find out how and why a world that's been inviting utter ruin meets it at last. So this definitely needs to be read before you watch the anime if you want to know everything that's missing from the anime. And as he said, it pulled no punches. The way that it ended was a surprise. The way things came about was a surprise. I also forgot to mention we found out more about Gurren's father. Didn't like how he was treated in this book at the end. And yes, that is one of the things that I found disappointing. I would have liked it to turn out differently. But you do find out, again, more events that happen that bring them closer. You find out more about the demon that's been trying to get Gurren to let him take over him fully. A lot of the students have given in to theirs. Gurren is the only one, it looks like, who hasn't.
Right.
Maharu, he has another story. She's the demon personally.
Right. She's scarier than the one in there.
But in this volume, you do find out there is some humanity left in her. Not a lot, just a prick. And she just clearly snuffs it out. She doesn't want it.
Right.
So that was a real surprise as well. But if you have not read Seraph of the End, Gurren Ichonose, Catastrophe S16, yes, that's the full title. You really need to get it. It's available on Amazon, used and new. I got all my volumes used. I got great prices on them. I think I paid maybe $15 total for all 4 volumes, which is really unheard of. And that's including shipping.
Right.
So, really, really am very happy that I chose to read this and watch the anime. I want to now get the manga and start collecting those. It's just a fantastic story. And as we've told you in our original podcast on Seraph of the End, so many current and past anime borrowed and were inspired by this manga and this anime. Just directly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at last
Lots
count,
of them.
At last count, we were up to 15. And it's not where you see a tinge or you think. It is absolutely positive that they borrowed or they were inspired by it. Because it's the same darn story or events or just the same characters with different names.
Yeah.
But the way it's being done, it's been a blessing to them to have created new stories. He's like the Owen Colfer of anime and manga.
Yes. And for finishing off the series, like I said, it all lines up and makes sense, unlike most prequels now. They don't change things where stuff doesn't line up and it makes no sense when you get to the anime or manga. It does match up perfectly. I think the only thing I would say would be an issue for me was how it ends. Not for like how the apocalypse starts, because you know it's going to start because how the anime is.
Right.
But what you find out what happens to the friends, that kind of changes some things when you see it, because when this series comes to an end, you're going to be missing quite a few people when it's over, down to just maybe Gurren, you, Mika, and maybe a few others. A lot of them are not going to be at the end.
You got it.
When they,
Mika and Gurren, that's it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be it, and it's really going to change things when it gets to the end of the story.
So I think the title, Seraph of the End, is kind of like a play, not only a play on words, and not only referring to the biblical connotations, but also a play on words, because it's going to be the end for everyone that we've come to love as far as the characters, but Gurren and Mika and you.
Right.
So, yeah, you're right. That's not a happy part of it. And you find out how this happens in this 4th volume. And when you see it, it's like, oh my gosh. When you read what has to happen for this to come about, you're stunned. But they don't go into details, meaning you are left at the end of the book knowing what's going to happen, but you don't read about it happening. You just know that this is how it happened, and then the anime picks up where it left off. But again, it's a fantastic read. You won't want to put it down. You don't want to be without any one volume, so I recommend you buy all 4 before you start reading. You cannot get it at the public library, because I tried prior, and Amazon's the only place I've actually seen it available for sale. If you guys know of another source, let us know in the comments below so others can get it. If you haven't seen the anime, it is available on the Pua's channel.
Yeah,
to
there's
watch
2 compilation
subbed and
videos.
dubbed.
Yeah.
Subbed and dubbed. It's not on Crunchyroll or anywhere else.
Strangely enough, yeah.
And if you haven't read the manga, that is available for sale on Amazon at very, very high prices. The first volume on its own is $10, but after that, the manga start going up higher and higher.
Yeah, it's like, what's going on?
The current volume, the prices get ridiculous, and even used, the prices are ridiculous. So, you know, I'm hoping to begin slowly but surely acquiring them, maybe finding volumes not in order at great prices. Hopefully, if you own the light novel series, or you own the manga series, or you own the anime, let us know in the comments below. Do you like it? Love it? What made you decide to invest in getting parts of the series?
Right.
Whether it's the novel, the manga, or the anime.
Right.
So if you've read Catastrophe at 16, let us know in the comments. Do you love it as much as we do? I bought it, as you know, so I love it, love it, love it.
Right.
Or for you, was it okay? Did you enjoy learning more about Gurren and the other team members as I did? Right. Tell us in the comments. And if you haven't read it and you are a Seraph fan, you definitely need to get it. This is like the additional books that were written for Tokyo Ghoul, past, present, future, where you get so much background on other characters. Right. And if you're a true fan, then you need to read this series.
Yes. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates of the reviews for anime series, anime shows, and all things animation, and a little bit of manga.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us again. We hope you're enjoying your summer. It's August. It's getting closer to the end. Yes. But you got plenty of time. It's the hottest time of the year here in the U.S. As always,
you are special. Thank you so much for watching Mask Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.
And reporters sitting, flashing lights, trying to walk around, man. Who the hell are you? What you wanna do? Well, man, it's on you. Man, it's on you. Hit her in my dreams. She was my queen. A castle in the mountaintops, rivers and streams. Plucking sunlight from the sky in my pocket, giving